I wanted to start this video off by giving my story, or a little bit of my story, in terms of when there was an economic downturn, and I lived in the Los Angeles area. When there was an economic downturn, I ended up in a situation where I had no job prospects. I was broke. I literally had to move into my wife's mother and father's house. So I'm staying with my in-laws, and I have been working since I was 11. The expectation was that there's no way I'm going to be without a job because I've been working for so long. I mean, I was a paper boy. I sold candy. I sold paper subscriptions. I even sold candy when I was at school. I was entrepreneurial. But I ended up in a situation where I didn't have a job. The economy went down. And this was the situation where the banks were involved with all of these real estate loans. And this was like 2007, 2008, 2009 time. And long story short, I had zero money. I was bankrupt. And in technology, you have to keep retraining yourself. Otherwise, there's no way for you to succeed in IT because you have to continuously retrain yourself because technology is constantly changing. Therefore, you need to change with change or you'll be changed. And I was being changed in a negative sense. So what I did was I went to the EDD. I had to go on unemployment. And what I was introduced to was a counselor, and the counselor, looked at my work history and looked at the salary I'd made. It was very high, but nonetheless, I was in a point in my career where I needed to re-up my skills, and just so happened the economy did a downturn and I didn't have a budget to retrain myself. That's when the EDD was able to help me out immensely. What they did was they told me that with my unemployment benefits, there's job retraining benefits. Now, I don't know what city you live in. I don't know what city you live in, but I lived in LA area. And what I did was I went to the unemployment office and they were able to introduce me to a counselor. And that's how the ball started getting rolling for me. So I don't know what the name of your unemployment office would be, but nonetheless, you should have some form of unemployment office. If you're in a situation right now where you're getting unemployment because of the coronavirus or a pandemic situation, I would highly recommend that you take full advantage of the opportunities that are offered to you through the EDD office. What you need to understand is this: to have an abundant, wealthy mindset is to take advantage of every opportunity. That's what wealthy people do. For example, there are wealthy people who buy real estate simply so that for the function of getting a tax write-off. Therefore, what should the little people like you and I do? We should take advantage of every single opportunity that would give us a leg up and give us more traction and more control over our ability to gain an income. Now, I worked with the EDD resource and I was introduced to a tech school in the Encino area, and I met a couple of cool guys who really helped me out a lot. Now, the program that I was in at that time in 2009, it cost about $9,000. Now, the EDD only gave me about $7,000, I believe. And since I didn't have enough, these guys looked at my background, my resume, my experience, and they realized that I was a senior engineer. They decided to give me a discount and took what the EDD was going to give them. And the rest is history. I was able to level up my career. I did the MCSE 2000. It was like the MCSE 2010. I don't remember what MCSE it was, but I got trained on that even though I was a network engineer. And while I was training for that, I studied my Cisco. I was doing Cisco labs, ended up getting my CCNA. I'd already have an MBA and a bachelor's degree, and I represented myself to the marketplace, and I was able to get a job with Boeing. And that is what leveled up my career and kept me on the six-figure end consistently after the training from the EDD. But if you are new to IT or maybe a transitioning professional, I would highly encourage you that if you're in a situation where the pandemic has you sitting on the bench, as we call it in IT, and you're unemployed, you're not working, go to the EDD office in your area and find out what opportunities they may have available in training you or retraining you, and take the opportunity to get trained in something that can put you in a position to the lucrative IT opportunities in this industry. Now, if literally you can learn something and be in a position to be employed to make $40,000 to $50,000 in tech. So essentially you start off with $0, like I did. I was broke. I started off with $0, went to the EDD office, and they took care of me in ways that they cannot imagine. It was just a regular day on the job for them, but it totally gave a makeover to my life. I went from bankrupt to being in a situation where I knew the future was going to be brighter. So go ahead and go to your EDD office and check that out so you can go from zero to hero in tech. Now, I would tell you to go to the fasttracktoit.com, because what we do is we help launch you into the IT industry. What we do is give you a tour of the industry. The benefit of having a tour of the industry is you understand how the industry works. So when there's downturns in the market, you understand your gifts, your talent, your skills, and how you can use them to multiply the opportunities available to you, so that if you end up in a situation where there's a lack of employment in one area, you can take advantage of your skill set and use it in another area. For example, during the .com era, when there was an economic downturn, I had a lot of skills at that time. I was teaching courses and boot camps, Cisco and Microsoft boot camps, and I was also working on system engineering projects and network engineering projects. At that time, you can do system engineering and network engineering. It's nearly impossible today because the skill sets are too broad and very complex, and there's a lot of depth to those two areas as well. So this is what I'm telling you is something that I did for myself, and it's something that I would recommend that you go ahead and look into. I've coached a couple of my students who took advantage of this, and they are on the Fast Track to IT. And the Fast Track to IT is something that will set you up so that you can become a leader in IT, not just get a job, but to be a leader. And what I explain to people is job skills will get you in the room, but leadership will allow you to stay in the room. So go to fasttracktoit.com, check out the Fast Track to IT course. We also have a free course that you can check out, and that free course is the top 10 myths of the IT industry. And I'd recommend you get an understanding of that, because if you have a few hangups before you jump into the Fast Track to IT course, the top 10 myths of the IT industry should take care of a lot of those hangups. I look forward to seeing you at the Fast Track to IT course. Go to fasttracktoit.com and act now. Go ahead and check that out, because sitting on the bench, looking at the past, let's look forward and get on the Fast Track to IT so your life can improve and you can go at a faster pace to get traction to go where you desire to go.